In this update, we've got a lot of heat building up in the Pacific Northwest and several cold fronts, including a stronger one by the end of the week, as well as pockets of heavier rainfall, even some flooding concerns. So we're going to break down the details on this update. First of all, happy Mother's Day out there to all the moms. We're going to start off with the satellite picture this morning, and you can see this ridge of high pressure up here in the Pacific Northwest. In fact, some record high temperatures for them. And we have another ridge of high pressure draped across portions of the southeast. And further to the north, we've got a boundary. That's a complement of a cold front that's going to be slowly shifting southbound throughout the week. And then we have another southerly flow that's going to be bringing in more tropical type moisture from the Gulf and through the central states, with rounds of showers and thunderstorms. And we have pretty dry conditions across portions of the northeast. So let's break down the details as far as temperatures goes. And you can see some record high temperatures. In fact, 12 record high temperatures today across the Pacific Northwest. Portions of like in the Seattle region reaching 90 degrees for them. That is plenty warm. Portland, Oregon, 95 degrees. So even 100 breaking out in Phoenix. We're the 90s setting up shop across that ridge, of course, portions of the southeast. But pretty comfortable like conditions across the rest of the country, including where these cold fronts are. That's highs in the 50s, folks. So yeah, it's going to feel a lot like a little bit of a more spring-like type weather for that region, but comfortable conditions across the wide spreads of 60s and 70s right near those frontal boundaries. But here's today for the severe storms. We had several rounds of storms the last couple of days. It kind of starts to quiet down. So we do have some severe storms today that's going to be traveling across that boundary region, where that warm front is going to be lifting across portions of southern portions of Illinois back into western Kentucky. So some of these storms could bring some gustier winds and some larger hail associated with them as we get deeper to the afternoon time frame heading into early evening. So the breakdown is out west. We've got that dominating ridge of high pressure, pretty dry conditions across California and much of the Pacific Northwest. North side of this boundary, it's pretty dry across portions of Minnesota through Wisconsin, all up here in the northeast. But further south, you're going to have that tropical type moisture coming in. You have another one of those MCV systems, mesoscale convective vortex type systems, coming in from Victoria region, dumping some heavier rainfall across the portions of Houston. That's going to be lifting up the I-35 corridor, bringing some heavier showers for them. And further to the north, we've got that boundary with pockets of heavier rain across portions of Missouri. And some of those could be fishtailing, down from that warm front and start to get for some severe storms as we heat it up into the afternoon time frame. So if you are in the market for a weather station, I definitely highly recommend the Tempest Weatherflow weather station. It's the one I've actually personally had for 3 years. The cool thing about it is it's all solar. It literally takes 10 minutes to install, and I've had plenty of some of these over the years, and this is by far the best one in the industry. You get a convenient app, and you can be a part of the 45,000 other people that have the Tempest. And I do have a discount code if you'd like to purchase one. Here is my link, and I'll have it in the descriptions below, so you can easily click on it and possibly order one for yourself. But for tomorrow, let's take a look at the temperatures, because there's still plenty warm across portions of the Pacific Northwest. The desert Southwest still breaking out in hundreds across the board, across Phoenix area. Still well into the 90s across portions of the southeast, but you can see where the cold front drops a little bit further south, right? Where that cold front is, right around that instability. That's going to keep the clouds around, keep the more unsettled like weather around, and more comfortable like conditions around as well. So widespread 70s is nothing be feeling not nice in that neck of the woods up here across a good part of the Ohio Valley, up here into the northeast, where you're going to be dry conditions and nicer conditions heading into your Monday time frame. Here's the overall breakdown on the surface map. So we're still got pockets of instability coming in from the south through portions of South Texas now, That's going to bring rounds of another showers and thunderstorms for them. Still dry up there where they have the ridge of high pressure across the Pacific Northwest and across our northern regions, but it's all along this boundary. This is where the focal point is going to be the unsettled weather and the more showers and thunderstorm opportunities. And that cold front is going to be shifting a little bit further south by then, heading into Monday. Now that'll be draped across northern portions of Arkansas, southern portions of Missouri, with pockets of heavier rain, and that slowly starts to eat away the ridge that's in across portions of the southeast and bring some of those cooler than average for weather for them. But here's the breakdown as far as the rain amounts just in the next 48 hours. You can see where the ridging is. That's where the drier air, the more sinking air, there's not much happening. So just enjoy the nicer weather for you guys. It's really draped across the middle of the country where we have those spokes of energy, and across that boundary where these cold fronts lie, we could be picking up some heavier rains across portions of Houston, getting into central Texas and North Texas. That could feed into Oklahoma, as well as portions of Missouri, back into southern portions of Illinois and western Kentucky, western Tennessee. So some of these could be some isolated flash flooding concerns, over the next 2-day time frame. But as we transition into your Tuesday, we can see the ridge starting to break down a little bit, so it's not as intense on the heat. So it's feeling a lot more comfortable for a good part of the country. Even across portions of the southeast, they're going to be starting to break down those 90s and slowly shift some of those 70s and 80s temperatures further into the southeastern states, while you can experience in those nicer and cooler like weather for the middle of May. But going into your Tuesday time frame, I don't really think there's much severe weather to talk about. We're just going to be talking about this cool front, this little cool front, and right along this cool front, obviously that's going to be the more unsettled conditions. So across a good part of the southern plains, across portions of the southeast, breaking down those 90-degree temperatures, dropping you guys back into the 80s time frame. But for the rest of the country, further north, you're drying out across portions of the Ohio Valley, and as well as portions of the north, the Pacific Northwest, and California stays dry for them. But as we transition into your Wednesday time frame, there's the temperatures. You can actually see the breakdown. There's no more 90s across the portions of the southeast. Now those shifted into that's actually shifted into Florida. So Florida is really going to be the only area that has the 90-degree temperatures, besides the pockets of the Pacific Northwest and the desert Southwest. But really for the rest of the country, but you can see this up here in portions of the Northeast and heading into New England, those are high temperatures, folks, in the 50s. So that's going to bring even almost chillier type weather for them. But heading into your Wednesday time frame, it's all about where that cold front is. So again, I'm not talking about severe storms. It's just going to be the more unsettled light conditions. So to the north of that cold front, you're going to be drying out. To the south of that cold front, you're still going to be having that unsettled like weather. That's going to be bringing some additional showers and storms across portions of Louisiana, getting into Mississippi, back into Alabama, back into Georgia. So you're going to have to be concerned about, some light to moderate rain during the daytime hours on your Wednesday. I think that just transfers into Thursday. So this is the first initial front. Going into your Thursday, that's going to be draped across portions of the southeast. I think that more or less kind of stalls out. And then the focal point shifts further north again, about a reinforcing, even stronger cold front for May standards. That'll be shifting southbound. So along this area, that's going to be in the focal point of showers and storms heading into your Thursday afternoon across portions of Minnesota. That'll shift through portions of Nebraska, through Kansas, and going back into Colorado, where they've had a lot of rainfall for them as of late. So as we transition to Friday, I think that's going to be the day that we have to be concerned about for some severe storms breaking out. We've got two areas of instability across one. The first one's going to be spokes of energy across portions of the Ohio Valley. To the south of there, that's where they're going to be tapping into some of those higher dew points and the more unstable like weather. So we should be looking at some severe storms as we head into your late Friday into the overnight hours on Friday night. But further south as well, we have another little bit of vorticity that's going to be back into the Baja regions. that's going to be adding instability across portions of the south again. So these boundaries here, that's going to be the focal point for additional storm development with that cold front as we transition into Friday afternoon. So here's where the dew points lie, draped across into the 60s across portions of central Ohio, through portions of southern portions of Missouri, through Arkansas, through portions of Oklahoma, in Texas again. And then I think the dry line starts to get active out here in West Texas. And this is going to be your focal point for severe storms as we head into your Friday afternoon across these portions of the Ohio Valley, draped along that cold front and those pockets of instability. So we'll have to be concerned about for severe storms. So besides today, I think we're good on the severe storms. We just have to watch this develop as we get closer to this type of event, and that'll be the day on your Friday time frame. So let's transition and talk about the setup for the surface map into Friday. So here's where the instability will lie. First instability is across portions of the Great Lakes. To the south of that region, we've got the showers and thunderstorm development across the Ohio Valley. That'll be draping across Oklahoma and portions of North Texas and to West Texas. And then they'll start to get the action with that little vorticity further south into the desert southwest. So you're going to be getting the action further into portions of New Mexico, even the Four Corners regions, heading into Arizona, going into your Friday afternoon time frame. And there's the cooler conditions. It doesn't cool down much for the Pacific Northwest. Instead of the record heat breaking down, you're still well above average. So instead of 20, 25, and 30 degrees above average, you're more like in the 10 to 15 degree range. So you're still plenty warm for this time of year, but just not as intense as we head into your Saturday time frame. But there's the cold front, and a stronger one for May standards, 5, 10, almost 15 degrees below average at times, pushing southbound into the central regions. And that will slowly shift and ooze its way down into our southern regions, and knocking down those 90s and bringing in those cooler 80s and even some 70-degree high temperatures. So there's your day on Saturday. I think we'll have the severe storms to talk about, but once that clears out, that'll clear things out for a nice weekend on the backside of that cold front. So if you're still on the south side of that cold front, you'll still be in that more unsettled like weather. I do feel by the of course next Saturday, then we'll have a more unstable like weather moving back in to portions of the Northeast. So you'll be unsettled by then, bringing some light to moderate rain showers, nothing severe, but across portions of, say New Jersey, getting into portions of New York City, heading up into the I-95 corridor up here into the Northeast, bringing some rounds of showers and thunderstorms. And there's that cold front. So again, the Pacific Northwest continues to remain plenty warm for this time of year. I don't think that ridge is going anywhere anytime soon. And then the focal point will, by then, going into next Saturday and your Sunday time frame, will just be experiencing the much cooler conditions and have highs back into the 70s and 80s across a good part of this region where you see the blue shaded areas, and experiencing those much more comfortable like conditions. But yeah, the breakdown, even on the Climate Prediction Center, heading into this weekend, going into early next week, continues with that dominating ridge of high pressure across a good part of the western regions and the Pacific Northwest. And then the cold front really settles across a good part of the southern plains, across the Ohio Valley, filters into the southeast. I don't think the cold front actually makes it to Florida, so you remain well above average for them. But for much of the country, you'll be experiencing those cooler, nicer 70s and 80s degree high temperatures, or especially starting into next weekend. So the breakdown as far as the rain going forward for the next 7 days, here's the breakdown. So you're pretty dry across our western regions, where that ridge of high pressure will be the focal point, and a lot of heat really building for them. But as we move inland, again, with that ridge really much dominating, there's not much rain to speak of, a quarter to half inch at best across these regions. So really our northern states don't really have much instability, just nicer light conditions as we head into your Great Lakes, getting up here into the Northeast. Some cooler air does filter in, and some rain showers do filter in by next weekend, but most of the instability is further south. So you have that south wind, you've got the moisture coming in off the Gulf, and you've got these multiple disturbances that will be coming across. And so a good part of Texas is going to be seeing some additional heavier storms, even more heavier rains back into the Colorado, and these were these boundaries set up shop across portions of southern portions of Nebraska, getting into Kansas, as well as into Oklahoma, where they desperately need the rain. Getting into Missouri, they'll be picking up pockets of heavier rainfall. And then where these boundaries kind of stall out, they'll be picking up some heavier additional showers and thunderstorms across portions of the Southeast and adding to those totals for them. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for daily updates on those platforms as well. And catch me next update where I protect you before and after the storm.